the Washington Senators pitching great Walter Johnson only ate a quart of the stuff on the days he pitched. And the Secretary of War called it morale food for his louse-covered men in the trenches in Europe's World War I. The head of Ellis Island treated a bowl of it to the arriving huddled masses with their first all-American meal like a sacred communion before stepping onto the promised land. It's an American tradition, wrote a writer to the New York Times in the 1950s, and he added, "Ice cream does not make a man a sissy." Yep, we're talking about ice cream here, and what we have done over 200 years to get ice cream. The early, very hard to make ice cream was the dish of kings and presidents. And then, the White House chef, African-American Augustus Jackson, took his recipe to the streets of Philadelphia in 1832, sharing the secrets of ice cream with the world. And Nancy Johnson turned the crank that was heard around the world in 1846, inventing the hand crank ice cream freezer. You just put some big chunks of salt and ice in the lining, filled the inner container with cream, raspberries, bananas, whatever your particular crave and pleasure, and then you marinated this concoction with some elbow grease and sweat from your brow as you turned that confounded crank for minutes on end. Jacob Fussell, a Quaker abolitionist, really launched ice cream in Baltimore in the 1850s as he broke free from the oppressive shackles of the confectioner's ice cream price cartel and the ruinous losses he was facing from not being able to sell steadily the cream that his dairymen kept delivering to his plant. Even though ice cream has always been biggest in New England, where year-round ice for ice cream was from the get-go never a problem, we in Jefferson County and our region have always had cream, the daring do, the fruit, and the palate for ice cream. And I've been told vanilla is still the #1 favorite in our area. Hence, Gustav Brown's Ice Cream Parlor on Washington Street in Charlestown since 1870 on into the 1930s, located next to today's Western Auto. There you had Henry, the polite and accommodating waiter who sometimes brought ice cream around the corner to the staff at the Spirit of Jefferson newspaper on George Street. Sweating but gleeful families in small fry visiting Burns Island Park at Harper's Ferry with its rides and pleasures surely ate little else but ice cream in cones or bowls. And in Shepherdstown, you had Uncle Matt and Hattie Tolliver's establishment where they sold ice cream from their corner store back when it still had an entrance carved out of the corner of the building. And things went on that way into the early 20s when Uncle Matt died. Then other ice creamers in Shepherdstown would head up to the M.B. Baker building and lined up at a door on the side to get, as Cecil Eby tells me, the Holy Cow Special, orange pineapple ice cream. The 20s and early 30s were an ice cream boom, and the more naive in droves proclaimed that the whiskey drinkers, with the supply now stemmed, would choose ice cream instead of drinking booze. And saloons across the country were revamped into nice ice cream parlors. 1929 was the dizzying height for ice cream consumption. But then, when Prohibition was repealed in 1933, what could only be called a meltdown occurred for the ice cream industry, a repeal panic. Today, those old ice cream parlors are gone, and the creamery in Carneysville is closed and just an empty building. But ice cream still brings warring nations to the negotiating table and soothes the savage breast, but with a little more yogurt to add to the picture, not so much for the weak at heart, but for the cholesterol-clogged at heart. Still in hot summer months, as the old song goes, I scream, you scream, we all scream for ice cream.